I am Noriko Boldful, and this is Uncut News. Students of the nation, your Rona-induced extended summer break may soon come to an end, as the Ministry of Education is currently making preparations for the reopening of schools. Key officials at the ministry recently met with regional education officers across the country to discuss plans for the eventual reopening. But don't fret too much, as it will probably only be the grade 10 and 11 students returning first to give them time to complete their SBAs for 2021. Minister Manik Chan stressed the importance of having running water, adequate toilets, and sanitary facilities for each school prior to reopening. The ministry is also studying how students at schools with dormitories will be adequately facilitated while still observing social distancing. Good news for all you Guyanese without a bank account. The Bank of Guyana has now made it easier to open and maintain an account at all local banks. According to the BOG, it is currently in the process of modifying its requirements for the necessary documents. One will only need one form of ID to start an account, and a driver's license is now considered an acceptable proof of address. The amended guidance applies to customers who are categorized as low risk. There will also be no requirement for annual submission of these documents. Additionally, the requirements for medium and high-risk customers will also be revisited with a view of enhancing the risk rating framework for these categories. So yes, they finally struck down that really dumb rule that didn't allow you to use your driver's license as a proof of address, even though it's literally the only card the government gives you that has your address on it. Today, our new AFC member and habitual painkillers abuser, Carol Smith Joseph, was slapped with 3 charges, while PNC chairman Volder Lawrence and Spreadsheet Mingo face additional charges in relation to the big rig of 2020. Joseph faced 2 charges of conspiracy to defraud and 1 count of forgery. She was released on $90,000 bail. She was charged jointly with Mingo, who is already facing several other fraud charges. Mingo was also granted $90,000 bail. And finally, Lawrence was charged for forgery and was placed on $30,000 bail. The case, all of them, was adjourned until October 28, 2020. Best Buy Auto Sales is Guyana's #1 auto dealer. Their prices are competitive, and they sell their vehicles with warranty, so you could have some peace of mind. Visit their showrooms at 171 Pizza Row Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamaha Street, Georgetown, and find out about their special Christmas deals. The police are currently looking for 4 men accused of robbing a family in East Kanji Babis on Tuesday. Around 6:30 p.m. last evening, the men entered the home of 46-year-old laborer Rudolph Kentelal while he was at a neighbor's home. Seeing the men enter his property, Kentelal immediately ran over to confront them. 2 of the men fled after Kentelal gave them a savage beating with a piece of wood, leaving 2 others in the house. He then ran in and set his sights on these 2 men. During the confrontation, a cloth mask, which was worn by one of the suspects, was removed, revealing that the suspect was actually related to the victim. Wow, sometimes it's your family who's your own worst enemy. Anyway, however, the 4th man was armed, and he immediately shot at Kentelal before fleeing. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The men reportedly escaped with a sum of cash and jewelry. Escaping from the Lusignan prison now seems to be this season's popular sport. Last night, 3 inmates escaped sometime between 6 and 11 p.m. by scaling the southeastern wall of the facility. The escapees were identified as murder-accused Alex Mathis of Good Hope, Dockyard, Essequibo, murder-accused Arnold Kennedy of Lot 847 Zeeburg Housing Scheme, West Coast, Demerara, and murder and robbery-accused Mark Ruffino of Good Intent Village, West Bank, Demerara. Police have identified the body of a man who was found in a trench at Victoria, East Coast, Demerara, last Friday. He has been identified as 50-year-old Guy Tom. Tom's daughter explained that he suffered from several health complications, including diabetes and poor eyesight. His body was found with no marks of violence, and based on the findings of the investigations, the police have ruled out foul play. Don't fall for these get-rich-quick schemes, people. There is a legit way you can earn some extra cash to supplement your existing hustle. Sell Well, top up! You could become a top up vendor quick and easy by linking Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-3109 for more info. And in the diaspora, watch out, visa violators, cause ICE is coming for you. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents recently completed a series of raids resulting in the arrest of 54 immigration violations throughout the New York City area. According to ICE, the individuals include nationals from Guyana, of course, China, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Grenada, Honduras, Ireland, Jamaica, Mexico, Moldova, Mozambique, Pakistan, Panama, Peru, and St. Lucia. Basically a United Nations worth full of deportees. But they actually didn't specify just how many of these people were actually Guyanese. So, but remember, if you manage to dodge this sweep, just be careful, because this activity was actually part of a larger nationwide campaign focused on targeting and arresting individuals in sanctuary cities such as New York City, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. It's now time for today's Rona Report. Today, the nation recorded 54 new cases. The total number of deaths now stands at 116. There are now 16 persons in the ICU and 815 persons in home isolation. The total number of known cases in the country now stands at 3,850. So, please people, wash your hands frequently. Avoid touching your nose and mouth and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds. And remember to give 6 feet of space between you and others. Now's a good time to remind you that robbery season is back. If I were you, I would consider getting security for the home or business. Sheriff Security Service is a good choice. I find that they are the most professional with well-trained armed or unarmed guards. Get some security this Christmas, people. Now, let's take a look at news in the region. The Royal Barbados Police Force has sent 2 senior investigators to Trinidad to assist the police service in their investigations into the drugs Susu Ponzi scheme that was shut down last month. 9 people were detained in connection with the scheme, including 2 soldiers. However, they were all released. In fact, last Friday, 4 police officers were suspended, while 11 others have been transferred. Some of the most needy students at Jamaica's 2 main universities, the University of the West Indies and the University of Technology, have benefited from a combined $5 million donation from Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Holness handed over the funds on Monday after reading about the plight of the students, which was made worse by the pandemic. The Prime Minister gave the money on the behalf of the Jamaica Labour Party's Education Fund and the Positive Jamaica Foundation. And now for our weird news story of the day. 4 firefighters from Michigan are on paid administrative leave after a 20-year-old woman they pronounced dead was found breathing at a Detroit funeral home. She has cerebral palsy and is hospitalized in a critical condition. Southfield's fire chief defended his paramedics' response, pointing out that this is not the first time in world history that such a thing has ever happened. But here's why they are in trouble. It turns out that before carting off her to the funeral home, the family of the lady claimed at least 3 times that the woman was still breathing. But each time the paramedics said they found no signs of life and then just carted her off. Oh my, this sounds like my worst nightmare come true. Imagine going on the seawall to give some blow, and when you're done and you try to start your engine, nothing. That's because you don't have a Platin battery. With its sealed, maintenance-free, calcium alloy plates, advanced technological build, and rigid testing process, you'll be on your way home to your wife in no time. Platin batteries are available countrywide and are imported and distributed by Caribbean Motor Spares at 174 Zealot East Bank, Essequibo. Call them on telephone number 609-7621. Moving on to our Uncut News Views poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So, you give your responses in the comments, and we'll read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, what potentially profitable industry is the nation neglecting? Osiris said, saw the other day that grapes, actual grapes, grow in Guyana. it would be nice to try and use them to produce some high-quality wine and export. True, very true. And Crocodile Nut said, "We have definitely neglected the agricultural sector and should be careful not to fall into the trap of thinking that oil money will be our savior. Guyana has the capacity to be a major food exporter, but consecutive governments have done nothing to make farming and agriculture an attractive industry, so young people in particular have no interest in it. Holland is one of the smallest countries in Europe, and yet is the second largest global exporter of food. Chile exports fresh flowers by the millions, and the simple coconut oil could carry a heavy price, depending on where you're buying it. Here in Europe, I have never seen a made in Guyana label on any products other than rum. Guyana needs to wake up and smell the coffee. No pun intended." Oh, that's a pity. I actually love a good pun. Anyway, good answers, people. So tonight I leave you with this question. The central bank has now made it easier for the common man to open a bank account. What are some other reforms that the bank should consider to make financial services easier for the average Guyanese? Think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good, we just might feature it in Thursday's episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Check us out tomorrow for another. Until then, I'm Noriko Paul saying good night, folks. Hey, Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.